Hello, good evening and welcome to the news. I am Saja Brito. Let's take a look at the newspapers today. The Standard newspaper is reporting violence over rival Alcalo voter attestation in Manduar village. These and other headlines on the Standard newspaper. Let's take a look at some of them in detail. The voter registration exercise in Kombo, Manduar descended into chaos yesterday after two attestation points belonging to different Alkalolu sparked a confrontation over which one is legitimate to approve attestations. Images of the ensuing chaos emerged on social media as the people of Manduar Mandinka, the original settlers, opposed the presence of a man claiming to be the Alcalo of Tuba Manduar, which is dominated or habited by the Wolof, who began to issue his own attestation for claimants from his community. As the tension intensified, riot police were deployed in the area to diffuse tensions. According to the Alcalo of Manduar Mandinka, Bajere Bojang, his villagers did not know or recognize Tuba Manduar as an entity with its own Alcalo. However, the people of Tuba Manduar insisted that they are a separate village and that they should be in charge of their own voter registration, leading to the clash between people from both sides. Meanwhile, the IEC registration staff stopped the issuance of voter cards and packed their materials to allow the police to calm the situation. But the Chief Electoral Officer, Sambujang Jai, told the Standard yesterday that registration in Manduar Mandinka will in fact continue despite tensions. GDC urges party leaders to preach against politics of insults. The opposition Gambia Democratic Congress has called on political party leaders to ask their supporters to stop politics of insults and campaign peacefully and responsibly. The party spokesperson, Honorable Omar Sisa, said it has come to the attention of the leadership of the Gambia Democratic Congress that audios are circulating online containing abusive language, which is very common in the Gambia and our society in general. Such act, the Nyamina East Nam added, is also against everything that our party, which is the GDC, stands for, and we deem it necessary to add our voice to condemn it before the commencement of political campaign for the upcoming elections. He said the Gambia belongs to all of us and no particular tribe should insult others over politics. The Gambia Democratic Congress therefore condemns the recent politics of insults in the strongest possible terms. The leadership of the GDC, CSA, stressed, denounced all forms of abusive audios and videos circulating on social media in which people use foul language regarding their opponents who are personally insulting a particular tribe or party leader, all in the name of politics. CSA smoking outlawed as a ban on public smoking comes into force. The Gambia Police Force have placed a ban on the consumption and use of the popular water pipe tobacco known as shisha. Shisha smoking is common among young people in the Gambia, especially women, despite the health hazards associated with it. The ban comes as the Gambia government intensifies crackdown on tobacco in accordance with the Tobacco Control Act 2016 and Tobacco Control Regulation 2019. A joint operation by the police, customs, public health and environmental inspectors was launched last Saturday to enforce these acts. And now moving on to the Point newspaper, the Secretary General and party leader of the United Democratic Party, Usainu Dabo, with his delegation on a visit to the Gambia Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations, yesterday revealed that he first became a victim in October 1995 when he in fact wasn't a politician. Dabo, who saw Baba Haidara, the son of the late Deda Haidara, at the center, says sends him recollecting the depth of his father's commitment and patriotism. Mayoress Low's attestation issuance results in legal brawl. The voters' card attestation case brought by two civil society groups against the mayoress of Banjul on Tuesday proceeded before the Banjul High Court. Gambia participants, who were represented by Mar Nyang, the executive secretary, Councillor Abdul Aziz Dabahgay of Boxbar Ward, and Center for Research and Policy Development, who were represented by Said Mati Jaw, sued mayoress Rahim Malik Law of Banjul, who was absent, and the Independent Electoral Commission were represented by Suleiman Juf, the Director of Administration at the Commission, and the Attorney General. The two civil society groups and the Councillor are challenging the legality and validity of the mandate accorded to the mayoress to issue attestations to Banjul constituents in the ongoing general voter registration. D-League arrests notorious drug dealer and wife with cocaine. Personnel of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia, otherwise D-League, have made a major breakthrough as they have arrested Usman Jatta alias Eto, who has been described by the agency as a renowned drug trafficker. The Point newspaper has been reliably informed. The principal suspect, Usman Jatta, together with his wife Mariama Jallo, were arrested with 64 packs of suspected cocaine weighing 4 grams of 500 milligrams. They are currently under the custody of narcotic officers as investigation into the matter continues. That's it for the papers. We'll go for a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. An organization working to see a trash-free Gambia conducted a cleaning exercise in Basse this past Saturday. Our Fatu Kamara has more on that story.
Operation 500 Volunteers Trash-Free Gambia, initiated by the organization, aims to address indiscriminate waste dumping within major towns in the Gambia. Friday, 26th, the organization held one of its biggest cleansing exercises in Basse. The exercise attracted youths from across corners of Basse and beyond. Students of different schools, the Gambia Armed Forces, the Immigration, NEA, Basse Area Council, and a lot more.
It's an initiative that we've been working on for the past couple of months. And so I feel great to come here, my hometown, to participate in environmental affairs, but also generally for developmental affairs. So I feel good.
Research coordinator Aliu Jallo called on Gambians to take charge of their environment.
Our attitude towards indiscriminate waste dumping is something that is rearing its ugly head in the society, thus making the Gambia one of the most dirtiest so far. Get to the capital or any major town in the Gambia, the first thing that you meet is the waste, which is becoming a nuisance. So with Help Gambia, we believe in shared partnership to actually make sure that we help to eradicate this. But our next step of that, again, is trying to make sure that we work with government departments that are responsible for implementation of those policies. Because if the implementation, if we are not, those policies are not implemented, we will clean. But the next minute, you will have somebody come and litter again. We have very beautiful anti-littering laws, but they are not implemented to the latter. They are just crafted and artified in our archives, but then they are not filtered down to the community. So with us, our next goal is to making sure that we work with the NAA and then the Minister of Environment to make sure that, and also government, to advocate for the full implementation of the anti-littering laws in the Gambia, because we want the Gambia to be like Kigali, we want the Gambia to be like Dakar, we want the Gambia to be like any other country.
Mamadou Salou Jallo is the organization's project coordinator.
When you are working, you need to work with a team. So I have a team that I have, a very strong team. And then that team also is really connected because if you come to the region here, you're talking about young people, because if you see here, the young people are the majority here. And being a youth leader, I have gone almost across all the districts in this region. If you can observe, there are many people from other villages, not only within Basse, from 5 villages, they are here. It's because of the relationship that we have, because I have been working with them tirelessly. So that is why whenever we call them, even it's a voluntary work, they always answer to us. And then the strategy, like the army, the other one, we wrote to them personally, and then they appreciate. Because at area council, the army, they are one of their key partners when it comes to cleansing exercise.
NEA Senior Environment Inspector Mamadou Jallo was present.
The young people are very hot nowadays. They have too many things on their agenda list. To forgo all those things and come out to volunteer in maintaining a clean environment is just a step in the right direction. And I think we owe them a debt of gratitude for those that willingly came out to join this exercise, cleansing exercise in Basse.
Members of the Gambia College SCS Club and the Global Youth Parliament Gambia chapter were out to support the organization.
We are here today as a partner to help Gambia to clean Basse. Yeah. This SCS Club is a club that is formed mainly to see that we are working together to anybody who is ready to fight climate change in the Gambia and beyond the Gambia as possible.
Cleaning exercise is one of the best so far, and if you look at the town, here is the main town of the region, and I come to realize that our GYP members should be part of the Help Gambia in order to help the society to clean the environment. Yeah, that is the main issue, what brought us here.
The PRO of Basse Area Council expressed delight over the organization's effort.
We are the farthest region across this country, and it is a hotspot to many countries in the sense that we border with Senegal, and this is an entry point for a lot of nationalities that are coming across this sub-West African region. That is Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Senegal. So most of them, this is their entry point. So obviously this region or this town should be clean. And as you all know, if you are always receiving migrants, always there is that kind of disease transmission. So obviously if you don't control your environment, make it clean, I think it's like we're trying to encourage that. So having Help Gambia partner with us to implement such an activity is a huge success.
Help Gambia is an NGO with local and international based volunteers, driven by a shared mission to build resilient communities by reducing household risks and vulnerabilities to environmental pollutions, climate change hazards, and extreme weather events, frequently leading to catastrophic disasters across the country. Fatou Kamara reporting for the Fatou Network News Review.
Welcome back, and now I am joined by our special guest on News Review today, political commentator Mr. Suleiman Ben Suare. Welcome to the show, Mr. Suare.
Thank you very much, Sally, for being back on your platform.
Thank you. Area that you have a very good understanding of. Looking at some of the recent events in the country, there are fears of election violence, some would say, are mounting amongst Gambians. Are you concerned?
Sadio, thank you very much for an important topic. I am very concerned based on facts. We look at being destabilized. At the time of elections, you will see the factors that were present before. You will realize the factors that were present during before elections are the same factors in the country. But let's put it into context. What we have in the Gambia is a government and security. What happens in the aspect of security? We look at the events that are happening, events to be solved there and then. We firefight. The security will. We don't expect the operational. This is the IGP. These are the soldiers who wear uniform to do their job. The policymakers who are their leaders competent, or they are not doing their job properly. Let's give it this more on an explanation. We came out of it. If any country comes out of it, that country, that's why the country, it's as coming out situation. You period of transition. And what happened in this period is to reform and reconcile in order to make the development priorities, so those things are delivered a level playing field to digitalization and take confidence and go to election. What that means is you apply what we call innovative governance. In innovative governance, you have to review in order to find your vision, to know what your vision is. That's where your vision would be based. In order to deliver your vision, you have to look at the structures available. And you have to make sure you put those structures right. And those structures cannot function without capacity. The capacity means the people and what required, for the structures to operate. And that will lead us to what that will be the resources that you mobilize, but not only resources you mobilize, but resources, how you allocate these resources based on
your engagements on social media. Recently, they've launched a joint, task force to fight against this whole tobacco thing. And you are one of the people who questioned, the police force as to where exactly are they allocating their resources to. Do you think this is not a priority or what?
Exactly, that's the problem. It's not the lack of resources; it's the lack of prioritizing the resources. That's why in innovative governance, not only you do the resource mobilization, but you have to manage that by prioritizing right. Because we all know Gambia had a lot of money come in during the transition. Now we can't turn around to say we don't have capacity. We can't turn around to say we don't have resources. That means that we have failed as a government because we have not built the structures, we don't build the capacity, and we don't have the resources that came have not used. There are leakages that were not been dealt with. But again, the most important part of everything would be communication. We have to communicate in order to move on. We have to communicate to control the expectation of people. We have to communicate to inspire Gambians. We have to communicate in order to deliver our objectives. And in the total scale, and what communication do is it brings people together to find a common purpose and to ignore the little differences that even makes us a better country. We have to remember during the time of independence, it was our diversity that we call as a strength. It was not our mineral resources or anything else, but it was our diverse people that we want to rely on. Unless we look at the comprehensive approach, we are not going to solve any problems, but we are leading ourselves to be destabilized, and which is very likely and highly likely, and it's a shame that we have the people, a country like Gambia, by population in West Africa for that matter, is highly restricted. You look at the organizations in this world, be the United Nations, be the World Bank, be the IMF, be the ECOWAS, everywhere you talk about the Arabic organizations, we have enough Gambian leaders. And within the Gambia itself, we have retired Gambians, we have Gambians within the system in fact. But what did we do? That's where we come back again. Because when we thought about transition, we decided to disregard the transition and we went for opportunism to further our interests, individual interests, which we turned out to be party interests and so on. What did that create? It created the situation we have now.
There's so many things that are unfolding right now, from the voter registration process to the allegations that are out there surrounding this thing. But let's talk about yesterday's clash in Manduar. What kind of questions does this incident trigger? Because this incident yesterday left so many questions than answers.
Thank you. That's why yesterday, before I posted anything, I first posted that the reason an incumbent in a transition doesn't run for elections is in order for the incumbent to be an impartial person who is independent to ensure there is a fair, level playing field. He would not take advantage of his position in order to advance himself. Because once he has that interest, the field would not be level. My expertise is military intelligence, and when I was in Liberia, during the course of developing the interim government of Liberia, one of the areas that we identified needed to be insulated was the position of incumbency. The National Unity of Liberia, which was a transitional government, drafted and enacted a position that whoever served in the cabinet would not be eligible to run for elections, or they have to resign 2 years prior to elections. You see, that was very important for their independence. Right now, look at the problem. If the president has the powers to appoint this, and the president chooses the structures, instead of building the structures, make sure the governors or commissioners, we used to call them, are people of integrity, are people of experience, knowledge, are people that will do the right thing. But instead, these are very important positions. These are the administration. These are the extension of the executive. But you choose to take people that are only loyal to you, that are only loyal to your interests. What happens with that? We end up having a deputy governor who we all know the background, who is a convicted criminal, and who would do everything to ensure that he would advance the interests of the incumbent. These are the problems we have. Now, everything else, even the police, cannot be independent in this case, because of every aspect of appointment would be looked into by political lenses. The president is going to ask, the executive is going to ask, is Sergio or Ben going to be loyal to me? It's not whether Sergio or Ben would be capable of delivering his mandate. That's not been the qualifications. The merit, that's not based on meritocracy. It's based on someone who would do things. We end up doing things upside down. That's why we end up having people who are not educated, who are not knowledgeable, people who lack the experience, people who lack the education, people who lack the integrity, people who lack the mindset to develop this country in positions and governance, and we expect things to work out. We cannot expect to do things wrong and have our desired outcome work. How come a government of transition would be in power today? What we had before was an MOU. We disregarded this MOU. Whatever it was in the MOU, we disregarded. And the government came out with a national development plan. Who talks about the national development plan? If the government had even discarded the MOU but decided to stick on with the national development plan, most of the issues we talk about would not have arisen. But obviously, the defect is the lack of integrity. To disregard the MOU is the same lack of integrity that has manifested itself. Because the reason is the president wanted to disregard the choices of Gambians, disregard the interests of Gambians, but to on his individual interests. This would lead him to appoint people that would do things for him, rather than appoint people that would do things for the people.
Which I want to ask about, we've seen a letter of appointment making the rounds on social media trying to legitimize the appointment of the Alcalo. What issue do you have with that letter?
Okay, according to the Local Government Act, the Minister of Local Government is empowered to appoint an Alcalo. People have to remember there was an amendment, and those all these amendments by extension, the dictator ensured that the powers are all vested on him again. The separation of power did not exist anymore. Because of now, if the president appoints the minister, now the minister would have the powers to appoint a chief and an alcalo, and the president have powers to appoint the governor. Now, you expect that person to deliver fairness? No. Now, that letter was signed on behalf of the governor, not even signed by the governor. We don't even know the position, who signed that letter. What's his position? The person did not even put his position, whether he was a deputy governor or what office is. An important appointment as an alcalo have to be written by on behalf of the minister and signed by the minister. In the absence of the minister being in the jurisdiction of the country, there's a cabinet member that should deputize or oversee that ministry, and that person would be fit and for post to sign that letter. But now, it's not only that letter. We have to understand, we have to question the due process. What's the due process followed? People don't appoint alcalos. Settlements don't just have alcalos. There must be a process. If we allow an executive just to create an alcalo whenever he wishes, without consultation with the people who are the original settlers, there will be a problem. There will be a problem. Because I'll give you an example. Bakau, as one of the settlements in the urban areas that have an alcalo, Bakau have two alcalos that people don't know of. Bakau, we have a Bakau alcalo and we have an alcalo for Bakau Wasulu. But Bakau Sanchaba have never asked for an alcalo. Bakau Newtown have never asked for an alcalo. Joshua have never asked for, keep it that way. One thing happens is, the minute the settlement expands and become populated, what happens is they have an elected representative which becomes a councillor. If it gets to a certain number, then it might be democratic for them to have their own member of parliament. Just as we've seen in Serakunda. Serakunda ended up being demarcated. Serakunda East having a parliamentarian, Serakunda West having a parliamentarian. Before the population of Serakunda expanded, Serakunda only have one parliamentarian. But now they have several parliamentarians because of it expanded. They did not go and ask for alcalos. There is a process. If we want for social cohesion to apply, we have to respect the cultures and norms that we inherited. And we have to progress. We cannot continue to duplicate the role of an alcalo. In most cases, it becomes absolute. What benefit would an alcalo give to a settlement in Mandua? And you see, all these things are divisive. The reason, that's why, again, we had a review. If we had, a competent governance, then the governor would have, the appointed governors would have reviewed and make sure all these abnormalities have been taken out. We should ask.
In response to yesterday's event, some Gambians are saying that this shows that tribalism is in fact deep-rooted in this country. First of all, when you heard the name Manduar Mandinka and Tuba Manduar, what comes to mind?
No, thank you. Thank you very much for that point. You see, I don't think tribalism is deep-rooted. We have to accept we are people of tribe. And because we are people of tribe, we would be, we would be recognized and identified as people of tribe. But Gambia is one of the countries, or the only country that we are completely intermarried and interlinked. There's no Gambian that can point out to say that I am not belong to any other tribe or by sense of nothing. It's impossible. Now, why is it a tribe issue? Because we all know how settlements do get created. And now, even to use Mandua Mandinka, Mandua Wolof, it's wrong. Mandua Tuba, people call it Mandua Tuba. We know that Tuba and Medina are choosing name because of religious issues or origin. But in this case, it's not about tribalism. What is it? It's about politics, and it's about politics of elections and attestation. And why attestation become a problem is because of fraudulent elections. We have to ask ourselves, why all these years, yes, there have been a problem between the people of Manduar Tuba and the old settlement of Manduar about graveyard. Why did they have a problem? It have been resolved or it have resolved? Now, why is it this issue been, whatever issues did we hear of? No, we should be really, the issue only came about because of the government wants to ensure they have their people, they want to register who are not supposed to register to be registered. Now they went on act a problem that they should have resolved before today. Because if the IEC have not demarcated, or IEC have not allocated a registration pool, registration center for those community, is because of in the public records, I did not see a need, or there's no existence of the area as a need to allocate a registration post. That's why they allocated the one for the old town. And as you have heard from the communication director of the IEC, that the registration is going to continue, and it's going to continue where they have allocated their resources, which is in the old town, which is feasible. Now, why did the Alcalo or whoever claimed to be Alcalo happen to come? Why did he not stay within his jurisdiction if he had the jurisdiction to exercise his duties? No, because of there's no public recognition in this. That's it's all about politics. But again, politics do unearth tribal, different sentiments, and that's where tribal sentiments do come from. Because it's about any other issue, but it's about politics. We should address this. And I want to say something here. Gambians, we have seen the polarization between our political leaders because of the fallout from the coalition, and we had an party. The solutions is within our leadership. Our leadership have failed. We cannot just point the fingers at President Barrow and blame him for the failures. We have to blame ourselves for the failures, and the political party leaders, the opposition, are part of these failures. It's not enough for political party leaders to come out and give out statement to their militants to say that don't insult. That's impossible. Social media is what is. It's a banterbar, and it's a banterbar that empower people to voice out. There is no that you go to social media and find people give up Senegal, go and see the insult reign in Senegal. United Kingdom, the far right, the left, everywhere else it's. But what makes a difference is the leadership we have in our country. The opposition is part of leadership. The inter-party was created to avoid this sort of problems. Have we ever had this inter-party meet to deal with issues apart from being invited to deal with issues? Gambia, this last moment, we are going into registration. We still do not even have an electoral bill. We are still relying on an electoral bill from the past. That's failure for the political parties, and the opposition should take responsibility for that. Appealing for political party leaders to be seen to be talking to each other. You don't have to like each other, but you have to recognize that you have a responsibility to lead, and you cannot lead your party. If the party militants see Usainu Dabo, Mama Kande, Barrow, and others sit on the table to discuss issues and respect each other, they don't have a choice but do the same thing. If we have our parents at home and we see our mothers and fathers fight every day, or we have a father who have different wives and we see our mothers fight every day, do we expect our siblings to live in harmony? It's impossible. The problem is not about social media. No, social media is just technology, and it empowered people's voice. And unfortunately, the negative voice would be heard better. Let me just say this before. Yes, I deliberately approached the matters the way I did. What I did first, I posted an issue very important about the problem of the delayance at the authority. But go and look at the comments or the people that have liked this. It would, because it's not controversial for them. It would not. When I came on to deal with the issue of the Carlo, I decided to put it as a thing. I said, don't use your party like this. Can we answer these questions? Then we will find the root causes of the problem. But no, people would straight away go into, but at least what I did was, I did not mention tribe, I did not mention anything else, but I made it about the letter, I made it about, the legitimacy. And you can see how sanitized the discussion was. But if I had come on to blame one tribe or another one party to another, what would happen? It was just going to be chaos. That's what leadership does. If we see our leaders discuss issues, substance, what it does is it focuses people on these issues and substance. But if we hear them, quiet about substance, they only engage their grassroots, what happens? We become a divided nation. And we are walking, we have already got in the cul-de-sac. If we don't turn around, we have to make a U-turn ASAP. If not, we will get to a point of no return. And that will be a disaster for a country that we all are related. It's just big family. We are. But due to the failure of leadership, we are risking the stability of that country.
Thank you, Mr. Suare. And just finally, before I let you go, I know you count every day, and today is 166 days when a cocaine shipment was intercepted at the ports of the Gambia. I know you are one of the Gambians who has been continuously pressing on this matter, but still now it seems there is no information coming forth and there is no arrest that has been made. What does this tell you about our security?
Thank you very much. You see, that's where I said, what we do, we react to issues and we expect our police, we blame our police. And next minute, no, the police is not enough. Let's get the army with guns, let them come out. Look, that have never solved a problem. Let me give you a quick development. You have to understand development. Why do we think we have something we call masculine and feminine policies? And we term the conservative, the far right, as people who believe in small government, people who believe in pure capitalism. We take the left as people who are soft, who believe in social justice, who believe in empowering the needy. And if you look at the countries, developed countries, America, how developed they are, you can see the level of crime because of they are less social policies that supports the family, that supports individual, a safety net that helps people, because they take the hard line of hard sentences and imprisonment and don't see the victims in the lenses of social justice. But you see the difference here. United Kingdom that have a more social based approach to these issues, you have seen we are not more advanced than America, but our crime is less of America. Why America could not that crime? And recently, Joe Biden have called for a policy of investing billions into social sector in order to address some of these problems. But even United Kingdom, compare United Kingdom with Scandinavia. This is the reason, because we thought, oh, Scandinavia, if you take them to prison, it's not like a hotel and everything else. That's what rehabilitation. We cannot use this thing all the time to solve our problems. Now, we talk about the drug issues. If Gambia, we have before the 3 tons of cocaine, we have the Lebanese who were arrested, have never been prosecuted. How can someone import a consignment of sugar, and within the consignment of sugar, you have that amount of drugs? We have evidence tested is cocaine, and you end up to say that you haven't got enough evidence to go to trial. How can you not have enough evidence to go to trial? You must have evidence that you can take to trial. It's to the courts to decide whether it's not enough. We all know that's corruption, that's why it didn't happen. But after that, we have the 3 tons of cocaine. Before the 3 tons of cocaine, we have 900 blocks of hashish arrested. We still did not hear that in the courts. Now do we have the 3 tons of cocaine? The infrastructure that it takes to import 3 tons of cocaine, you have to be part of the criminal cartel. Then it tells us that Gambia, we have criminal cartel operating in the country. How can we expect one person to be responsible of the consignment of 3 tons of cocaine? Where's the infrastructure? How come the law enforcement did not identify the infrastructure to be used? Remember, it's one thing to bring the cocaine, but it's another thing to take it out, because the cocaine is not being brought in to be consumed in the Gambia. Yes, some part of that will be consumed, but it's to be taken out. It's not been dealt with. The minister came to Parliament and misled Parliament by saying that investigation is ongoing. But the Parliament did not ask him how that investigation was constituted, who were within the panel. What are the no? There's no progress report. Absolutely, it's not true. They have not constituted this panel. It's not in existence. Now he talked about the case is in the courts. It's not true. The case is not in the courts. The one person who was arrested, Mr. Njai, who was discharged. The case is not progressing. We should ask themselves, did we hear any confiscation of assets from the suspect that we have authenticated? No. Why that did not happen? Now, again, we have another, and now we want to deal with the drug issue with the Gambian youths. Let's ask ourselves here. Why did we have an epidemic of Gambian youths being addicted to drugs and started to commit violence? We want to go and arrest those youths and take them to prison and think that that will end? No. We have to stop the drugs coming in. We have to manage. We have the laws. We use the laws, have the laws and use it. But corruption is the backdrop of everything here. Because if the institutions are corrupt, institutional leaders are corrupt, then the cartel will operate freely. I had you read out today, someone was arrested for pushing, small quantity of cocaine. But we are not arresting the people importing the cocaine. This is the problem we have. Until we approach things comprehensively, a reactionary moves would not going to solve this problem. We cannot firefight. And we have to remember too, why I reference the National Development Plan. How many students are leaving school or dropping out of school every year, and there's nothing to cater for their employment? There's nothing to cater for them to be skilled. How many students did we ever review? For 4 years, this government review our education policies? No. Do we provide our curriculum to make sure that students are leaving school with skills that they can engage in? No. Look at the continuity of the back way. It just tells you that we haven't provided a solution. Can anybody tell me a single initiative that this government has provided for the youths to discourage them for the back way? No. Everything is just a piecemeal approach. There's no comprehensive approach, and we expect all these youths to be normal youths. No, we came out from a dictatorship. We are a traumatized country. What programs did we have? You see, we should have invested in a lot of other programs. We should not wait for the TRRC report in order to deal with this problem. We identified these problems already. We could have started a lot of programs that would start to address our problems, but we are waiting for a report, and a report we all suspect highly that the government does not have the political will to act on it, because we have evidence of that, because all the reforms that this government was meant to do have failed. The same way they failed the security sector reform, which was part of the National Development Program. We don't talk about these things. What we have today is a project, and the project is to re-elect President Barrow, and he's desperate and he will do everything to be re-elected. But I would say this, President Barrow would not be the only person who hold responsibility if this country is destabilized. We will hold our leaders. We will hold ourselves for not holding our leaders accountable to ensure that country is not destabilized. We are sitting on a series of ticking time bombs. The Gambia Armed Forces is not reformed. The Gambian security sector is not reformed. The Gambian youths are not empowered, and there's no program to empower them. There are land issues, there are environmental issues. These are all taking time bombs. We have seen issues that happened in Faraba. Recommendations have not been acted on. We have seen what happened in Sanyang. These are examples. Gambia, we have to be very careful. Now, what we should be careful of, and I will appeal to the UDP. Why am I appealing to the UDP? What we have today, what's happening today, we have two major communities. We have Arab and we have UDP. Now, because of that, they are doing everything to ensure they create a level playing field, because it's for them to win. One thing about that is they should be very careful to be sensitive. The way they act, the way they do things. Let them follow the due process of law. But again, I am in support of being proactive. defense is part of law. I would not know that a crime is being committed, and as I will sit and wait for that crime to be committed, then after I'll report that crime. That is a defective law. That's a defective approach. If a crime is committed, we should make sure that crime is stopped, and we should bring attention to that crime to be stopped. I support the UDP on that position, but I don't support the language and the manner and the aggression that comes out with it. But that's a mindset. That's why the leadership need to address that mindset. But again, I want to advise the other political parties or other Gambians on the side. It's not to our advantage to have to race to the elections. I am appealing to the rest of the political parties to look at themselves and accept their strength and weakness. We should try to get 3 races to this thing. We have to make our elections competitive, because there are some political parties who are looking the other way, thinking that they don't have any opportunity or chance to win these elections. They rather leave it for UDP to deal with it, or they rather keep quiet for Barrow to win. These are positions that we should not encourage. We should encourage our democracy. Whoever comes out of it, let that person take charge, and we follow that person. That's what democracy is. We have to continue to help this change. But I will remind Gambians, change will happen, but change is not what makes us better. We need a transformation. Transformation is something that we can inject, we can impact to make it happen. Barrow goes today, somebody else comes, doesn't mean that we are going to, our situation is going to get better. We should ensure that we hold accountability for transformation to happen. So when the change comes with a transformating agenda. This is what we should be doing. We should not keep on using the lenses of political parties in order to deal with this issue. We should, differentiate. We can still support our parties, but the national security is something we have in mutual. If that country is destabilized, it doesn't benefit anybody. There's nobody to be governed. And Gambia might end up losing its sovereignty, and something we should protect.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suare, for coming through to the Fatu Network News Review today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That will be it for today's show. Do join us tomorrow if you can. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.